What is up, everybody? It is Dynasty season and it's startup season. So, our first startup of the year, we're going to be breaking down today. We're going to be looking at 2024 rookie picks. They were included in this draft, not the players, but the picks. Where are they getting valued right now? Some of my favorite startup drafts don't include the players. It actually just includes the picks because, things change with the players. Picks are more safe, and that's generally speaking what most Dynasty managers kind of are comfortable with. So, we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at team builds here. This not as mock, it is a startup, is through 20 rounds. So I'm going to be able to show you kind of where the real values are. We're going to be breaking down the first 12 rounds, but stay for the whole video. I'll show you kind of the big board and the draft board all the way through to 20th round. And just looking at values right now, where's Travis Kelce going? Where's Jalen Waddle? Where are some of these guys going? A little bit of player analysis as well. So why don't we get started? Let's just jump right into it. Start rounds 1 through 3 and kind of work our way through. When we're looking at rounds 1 through 3, the big thing that kind of stands out, my favorite pick is Jamar Chase. Sitting there, when we're looking at the big board and kind of going over where he's getting, taken, back into the first is still very good. And I will say this, as someone who kind of does this, works through it with football guys, understands values, kind of all of the above there, Jamar is kind of a buy right now. I've seen some deals out there for him. I think people are kind of, I don't know, they're kind of sleeping on Jamar Chase, which is crazy. Like, don't get me in the comments saying, what do you mean sleeping on Jamar Chase? But I do think that there is a buy window right now for him. Sitting at the 109, I like that value. CD going before Jamar. I'm the biggest CD fan in the world, especially as a Cowboy fan. I understand what he put up and the numbers he put up. I have a hard time taking CD Lamb over Jamar Chase, right? So I like that he's wide receiver 3 off the board. I think that is really good value. Biggest value change, though, for this board is Trevor Lawrence. And you're looking at that at the 304. He is going around after Justin Fields. So when we're thinking of like value and where they're going there, I mean, he is borderline like in the love category now. Brock Purdy got taken before Trevor Lawrence. So if you're looking at it from like you want to buy Trevor Lawrence, you can. There's definitely ability out there. I mean, I've had, a lot of questions in the DMs about Trevor Lawrence. And I think where he's getting drafted here is pretty low. I think that he's a value here. I don't think he's a round worse than Justin Fields, but I think where he finished the year off was concerning, right? So I think there's two things, to look at when you look at that. Overall running backs, Bijan's first running back off the board at 112. Then you have Breece Hall, McCaffrey, and then Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. So those guys are your clear tier. When we're thinking about running backs in those 3 rounds, when you're thinking of who are the guys there, those 4 guys are essentially your tier. And then the second tier of guys are next. And this is tight end premium as well, super flexes as we always do. Laporta, McBride, Hawkinson, those 3 tight ends, Kincaid and Andrews, when you're looking at kind of the value there. But Laporta, McBride, and Hawkinson have kind of finished out that third. Now, as far as where the draft picks are taken, so this is kind of the value of what we see. 2024, 101 is going at 201. So he paired Bijan Robinson with probably Caleb Williams. We're going to talk about his team build at the end of the video. 102 is going at 205, 103 is at 206, and then 104 is 305. So there is kind of a tier, right? When we're thinking of like most people have penciled in Caleb, Marvin Harrison Jr. at the top, Malik Neighbors is in there, whatever you think of Drake May or Jaden Daniels in that range. So this is where you're thinking of team build. If those rookie picks are included, these are kind of generally speaking where they're going. And the 101 is pretty much going at that 112, 201 mark in most of the drafts that I've seen. Now, let's get into rounds 4 through 6, because this is where we really start seeing some values and some changes there. You're going to notice, Bryce Young is still getting drafted in Superflex, that 401. We have Kincaid and Andrews sitting there in tight end premium. Andrews is tight end 5 and tight end premium is a fun value. I kind of like that strategy. He double-tapped Laporta and Andrews. I thought that was fun. Olave's going there. The biggest thing, my favorite pick, Travis Etienne probably at the 508. I like the value there, and the reason why I wanted to bring up Etienne, if you're going to go 0 running back, or you could probably go one of my favorite strategies, anchor running back. You draft that kind of solid running back where you have that one guy. If you get a guy like Etienne as your running back 1 or Devon Chan in the 5th round, you could really build a strong squad around him, especially at the wide receiver position. This manager, when you're looking at what they try to build there, I thought that was interesting grabbing Etienne there. I think that's fun value. Like Etienne in the 5th is much better than what he was going for last year. Biggest value change, though, is Jalen Waddle. Waddle's really dropped down. He's 410 here. Devonta's going for him. Ayuk, Olave, those guys. Waddle's one of those biggest kind of value changes that we've seen this season. There's rumblings maybe that he might want to get out of Miami. There's a lot of question marks around Waddle. For him to go into that Pittman, JSN, Nico, Drake London kind of tier, I think it's interesting. I think there's a big value change for Jalen Waddle out there. I'm a buyer, though. I'm a buyer with Jalen Waddle. I still think he's value. I still have him a top 7 asset in Dynasty at the wide receiver position. I know I might be crazy. People talk about take lock or whatever. But I think there is value to be had there, right? So when then you round out the other rounds here, tight ends, you still have some value there. Higgins, 605. So when we're thinking of T. Higgins, some people really love T. Higgins. People in our Patreon or Discord, Noah Wright, absolutely love this guy. He thinks he's wide receiver 1. But when you're going through these guys, this is kind of where the value is at. Now, draft picks taken, this is where you see a lot of kind of those mid-round picks. 405 is where 105 went, 106, 408, 107, 602, 108, 604, 109, 608. And that's really where the tiers are, right? Like really where we're starting to see those tiers is at that 106 mark. Unless you think, Jaden can pop up there, then the 107 gets fun. Like if I can get Roman Dunze, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, one of those guys at the 107 at 602, I like that value. I think that's a pretty good value there with you getting. There is a tier drop though after that. So like, 108 at 604, I don't think is as amazing value as the 107. But again, this is just to show you kind of where we're at. Remember, these things aren't set in stone, but this is where, generally speaking, where these picks are going. Now, rounds 7 through 9, let's kind of break down these. When you're looking at here, you're really seeing a lot of the veterans, right? So you're going to start seeing Josh Jacobs. You're going to start seeing James Cook kind of in there, Tony Pollard, Kamara, Swift. These are the running back area. So for you guys out there when you're building, a lot of running backs getting taken in that 7 to 12 range, right? So round 7 to 12. So this is, if you're going to wait in that position, this is where you guys start attacking value. One of my favorite picks, Tajay Spears. Now, I'm not a huge, truther of Tajay Spears. There's some big truthers out there. But if I can get a Spears in the late 7th, early 8th round as my running back 1, maybe 2, right? If I'm going 0 running back, I think with the perceived role of what he could have next year, I understand the new coaching staff. I understand there's going to be things there. But if Henry's gone and Spears is there, he's the guy. And I think that he's fun value right now. Now, this is a pick now in January. You can make in the 7th that he might be going earlier, right? Later as we progress. He has a potential to kind of increase his value. So that's something to kind of note, to think of. The biggest change is Travis Kelce. Going to 7th round. We're starting to see Kelce's decline here. And this is why we talked about it. We have a Dynasty show that we're going to do every other Thursday here, Deciphering Dynasty. We talked about Kelce. We had some trade questions on Kelce that you guys dropped in the comments. Kelce, to me, this is it for him for value. If you're going to try to move off of him, I know there's some questions about maybe pivoting from Kelce to Pitts. Well, when you're looking at, Pitts, you get in the 5th round, Kelce's in the 7th. If you can pivot off of that, I think you have to. I think that's just the reality of the format, what you're trying to do and accomplish, and based on the team build too. Now, other guys in this range, you're looking at a lot of those running backs. Baker Mayfield popped in here. So when you're thinking of Mayfield, 9th round now, before he was going late 15th, 16th, 17th round last year. So there is some value to be had there. Our next picks taken here. This is where we're going to start getting the nitty gritty. 110 is at 701, 111, 702, 112, 706, 201 is 901, and 202 is 909, right? So the second round will start in the 9th round. That's generally speaking where the value's at. I will say this, though. When you're in your startup draft with these picks, you're going to find a couple managers are really targeting those picks. And what I would do is, don't reach if there's some managers targeting those picks, do not reach on them, because that guy's going to take them. No, let the value come to you. Let those veterans come to you. Let those picks go, right? Just let them go. They're a mystery box. There's a lot of misses in these picks. And I get worried about teams just building through the rookie picks because it's rookie fever now. It's already going to start. These rookie picks are included. So don't think you have to go grab those picks because other teams are grabbing them, right? Those 2 or 3 teams that are really hyper focused on rookie picks. Build out your roster through the veterans. That's totally okay. Now, last rounds that we're going to cover in detail here. Looking at these later rounds here when you're kind of going over, what we like from them, what we don't. Goddard, 10 through 10 is in there at the 9th round. Then you have Amari Cooper. Then we're going to have Russell Wilson, kind of these veterans, Carr, Rodgers. I think the one thing to know from the quarterback perspective, if you wait on quarterback, that QB2, are you comfortable rolling out Rodgers, Carr, Wilson? Those are the guys going in that range. Sam Howell, are you comfortable kind of rolling on that? A lot of those quarterbacks are QB3s for some teams. I would be much more comfortable grabbing Aaron Rodgers as my QB3, where I kind of have some upside plays at quarterback early, and then I have that solid, hey, veteran. I got a year. Maybe he does something for me. I can kind of build around that. If these are your QB2s, I think you're a little nervous, especially because, some of these situations we don't know about. Carr, Wilson, we don't know how. We don't know what those guys are going. I'd probably pivot away from those quarterbacks in these later rounds, and then take a shot later on some other guys, right? I think that's kind of how I would look at it just from a value perspective. Now, favorite pick, Christian Kirk, I think is going to be one of my favorite targets this offseason, where he's going in that 10th to 11th round. I like that value, especially next year. It looks like they're going to move on from Calvin Ridley. And that's a big value change. Calvin Ridley's going to 11th now. Remember, last year, we're talking about 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Now he's going in the 11th round. We saw a very, very sharp decline. We don't know where he's going to be. I would expect him not to be on the Jaguars, so we could see him maybe have a little bit of a value there. But it definitely big change in value in terms of both of these guys and what you're looking for. But Kirk, to me, is a solid wide receiver 2/3 that you can get in the 10th, 11th round. And there's some guys going before him that I'm like, yeah, I mean, Jacoby, when you're looking at, some of these other guys, some of these other wide receivers around that range, DeMario Douglas is kind of in there. Marquise Brown's kind of in there. Quentin Johnston's kind of in that range. Dotson. Kirk just is a safer play, in my opinion. Now, draft picks taken, 203, 204, 205, and 206. They all went in the 10th and 11th and 12th rounds in this range. So when you start seeing mid-seconds, they're basically 13th round, right, in terms of your dynasty value and what you're looking at there. Now, I want to go through the final outlook. We're going to just kind of look at all the teams here, and this is a good time to pause it, kind of look and see like what teams you like, what teams you don't like in the first 12 rounds. Now, I'm going to have a list here in a little bit of every draft pick taken. So when you see the kickers there, those are the draft picks, right? Then I'm going to go through team builds right now. We're going to kind of look at a few team builds. Now, I want to show you this one because this was a manager that definitely built through the rookie picks, right? So you have Bijan, you have the 101, Tua, JSN, Pitts, Pickens, and then you're going to see just rookie picks galore in there. And again, he went anchor running back, which I like. I like the idea of going anchor running back. I think the question is like, how comfortable are we with Tua being our QB2 on a productive struggle year one? Because that's exactly what he's building here. A productive struggle year one, and then really kind of come out of the gate year two, hopefully with Caleb and these guys, JSN, Pitts, building up, and then all the rookie picks that he grabbed. The question is, do you believe in Tua, right? And I think that is, with other guys on the board like Purdy or Lawrence or Love or Goff, I might have went actually Love or Lawrence there because I do think they have more upside. I like Tua, but I just concerned he did not look good. And will Miami just be like, hey, we got to try to address this? Now, he could get a Daniel Jones-like deal. You're okay with that for 2 years. But in Dynasty, like I would much rather have a Lawrence or Love. Which might be a hot take. I don't know. But that's kind of an interesting build. But this is a productive struggle build with that anchor running back with Bijan. Now, my next build here, I want to shout out Noah here. He went up and got guys. Patrick Mahomes fell to the 104. Then he got Kyler Murray in Superflex. Then again, 0 running back. Puka, Waddle, and Nico Collins right there. Very, very solid value at the wide receiver position. Then, we go get Ingram for tight end premium. Then Samuel Evans. Like, he did a good job of building that strength. Grab Will Levis there for that third quarterback, Keenan, Hopkins. So he's going for it. Like, he's building a team right now, has some youth mixed in, and then he's going to really target those running backs later. We're going to kind of see the whole draft board, but this is one of those veteran heavy, go get your QBs, going to build around that wide receiver position, and I'm going to go for it year one. So I wanted to show you that build. And then this last build here, I thought it was fun because, again, kind of 0 running back build, right? Jalen Hurts. And then he took the rookie pick. So he definitely has the value there. McBride in tight end premium, Addison, and another rookie pick, right? And then Diggs, Adams, the way he built around there. Quarterbacks get a little iffy for me, though, because you're really betting on Daniel Jones with Aaron Rodgers. But I do think you can plug in Hurts and Rodgers and be okay with that. If Jones kind of bounces back, we do know he's going to be the starter next year. I think you can have some leeway there. I like the Chase Brown pick. I really like the Aaron Jones pick. And I do think Marquise Brown is a value there. So I just wanted to show you kind of 3 different builds that I kind of enjoyed and that were just a little bit different. So when you're thinking about how do I want to build my roster out, now, here is the board for all of the 2020 draft picks that were included. So this is a good time to kind of pause it. I didn't go through all of these, obviously, but this is kind of all the way through the 3rd round where those 3rd round picks are being taken. So there's the value. I do think, like, when you're looking at the tiers, you can kind of see the tiers already, right? We talked about it. 106 is going to be a tier there. 10, when you think of 111, 112, kind of in that range. So really, when you group them together, you're really looking kind of at like 107 to 109, 110 to 112, 201, 202, and then so forth. So this is a good kind of practice to show you. So if you're in one of these drafts, you can kind of use this to kind of gauge like, hey, this is kind of generally, now remember, this is one draft. It's a very micro perspective, but you can use it while you're in your other drafts there. And then I want to show you the whole board. I mean, there's a lot of picks here, but if you do want to pause it, see kind of some late round picks in there that I think there are some values. You know, Trey Palmer is in there in the 16th round, Shakur, some of those guys, or just to see the running back landscape. I think this is a perfect example. Say, hey, if I'm going to wait on running back, who are some guys down there that I can grab? You know, who are some guys like Tank Bigsby? Maybe I expect him to maybe pop off. Zach Moss, Foreman, you know, really late guys here. Eckler going in the 13th round. Who are those guys that I think maybe has a chance to really kind of step up? So I appreciate you guys tuning into the channel. I appreciate you guys watching these videos as you've kind of dived into them and gone through them. You know, let me know in the comments what you think. If you're in a startup right now, where are the values at? We're going to continue to hit these mocks and especially the rookie picks as we go. Again, we thank you for 4,000. I really do for subs. We couldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate it. I will see you guys next time.